Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Crowd Chair Podcast. And today is going to be the National League review of June. Now, I said this in the previous video. I always do American League first, but I said this in the American League video. I'll say it again in this one. This is technically a June review, but I'm basically doing this during the All Star break as kind of like a mid-season type review. Is like I said, it's essentially a June review, but I'm just doing it during the All-Star break. It's a little bit easier, and I get plenty of days to work it in whenever I feel like. Because I do obviously work a lot, and I do have a lot of stuff that I end up doing. So it's nicer to just have several days to do it rather than try and fit in one day. Anyways, moving on. Um, we start with the National League. We'll start with the Atlanta Braves with the best record in baseball at 60-29. What a team they've been. 8-2 in their last 10. They had a pretty good series against the Tampa Bay Rays on the road, losing their last one. But Atlanta's a really good team. They hit a lot of homers. They have a very good pitching staff. They have a very good offense. They have absolutely exploded here down the stretch. They have exploded in June. This is a dangerous, dangerous team, and they don't even have they don't even have Max Fried. I mean, of course they have Strider, but they don't have Max Fried right now. So that's another very good pitcher that'll come off the IL at some point. Uh, I think, and come back for Atlanta and be absolutely devastating. So I really like the position that the Braves are in. Atlanta's probably my favorite right now to win the World Series. That's with the team that they have, with everybody that's as good as they have been, especially with Michael Harris going from being a major league disappointment with Julio Rodriguez, because both rookies of the year from last year had been struggling. Julio Rodriguez has picked it up a little bit, but Michael Harris shot from being like 140, 150 to all the way to like 260, almost 270. So it has been a dramatic turnaround for Michael Harris. You got guys like Orlando Arcia who have been very good. Ozzy Albies, obviously Ronald Acuna has been unreal this year. Matt Olson's been good. I mean, they have so many players that have been really doing well with that good pitching staff. They're a complete team, and they are going to be a very dangerous team come October, November. And then we have the Miami Marlins as a bit of a surprise, sitting at 53-39 with a negative run differential, mind you. That one still bewilders me. But, obviously 8.5 behind the Braves. But Miami finds themselves atop the wild card, 53-39. Bit of a surprise, especially since their Cy Young Award, uh, their defending Cy Young Award winner from a year ago has had a less than ideal season. They have a couple other prospects who have been pretty good for them in terms of the pitching staff. But Alcantara sits at a 4.72 ERA. Just, not pretty if you're Miami. I mean, the dude had a unbelievable season last year, and this year he's looking at career worst numbers. So not what you're looking for, obviously, and it's not been pretty. But there's always, of course, time for him to turn it around. There's other different prospects that they have in their starting pitching as well. The thing with this team, I think, they have some decent hitters. I mean, Jorge Soler is a big time power hitter for them, hitting 23 homers. Yikes. Um, but they don't really have much other power, I would say, outside of really those two. I mean, they have a couple decent hitters. I mean, all their hitters are fine, but really, other than Jorge Soler, they don't really have a ton of power bats. Of course, they have just unreal hitting Luis Arias, but I mean that's not a home run hitter. Obviously, he's just a hit machine who is very good. I mean, he has what 400 average. I mean, yeah, that's really stinking good. But I think for Miami, if they're gonna go ahead and try to compete for the playoffs and try and actually win, they need a power bat. And I don't know where they would find one, but if they want to win, then they need a power bat. And we'll see where they go to get one. But I think if you're in the Marlins, you're looking for a power bat. You're looking for somebody that you can slot in as like the four hitter, possibly like the cleanup guy, because Jazz Chisholm's never healthy. But someone to slot into like that four slot or maybe five or something like that. They need a power bat, and we'll see if they can get one. And then the Philadelphia Phillies are next, sitting at 48 and 41. They've been up and down this year. They've been good. They've been bad. They've been middling. It's just been a roller coaster for the Phillies. Um, Overall, it's been kind of meh for Philadelphia. They're having a okay year, I guess. Trey Turner's been turning it around a little bit since the lackluster start. Kyle Schwarber's still been Kyle Schwarber. Of course, they have Castellanos. For the Phillies, moreover, it's just really everybody needs to do a little bit better. The pitching staff has been a little the hitting has been a little Just nothing I think really has stood out for the Phillies. They've had this overall, decent play, but like I said, nothing really. You don't look at some of the guys on their team and like, whoa, that's really good. You don't see that really. Of course, Bryce Harper's back from injury. They could use some more out of him. With Schwarber, Castellanos. I think that's overall it's more of everybody doing a little better because everybody's been decent, but I don't like I said nobody really I think stands out for them. So specifically, I'd have to say probably Trey Turner. He's been better for them. He has definitely been much better since the start of the season, but I think they probably could use a little bit more out of him down the stretch here to maybe get them back, get them in the. I mean, they're still in the wild card race, but to get them in a good position. And then next we have the New York Mets at a miserable 42 and 48. This is one of the biggest disappointments of the season. And there's another one in this division of which, or not division, in the National League, of which I'll get to in a minute here. But the New York Mets have completely fallen well below expectations. They were actually sitting at a pretty measly 36 and 46 before a six-game win streak got them even to this point. It's been brutal for them. The pitching staff has not been up to par. Their hitting has not necessarily been what they expected, and they have mightily struggled to find success. They had a decent close to get to the All-Star break, but big time pitchers like their big time enormous signings of Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander have been haven't been great haven't really been fantastic. They've been decent. Scherzer really hasn't been. Verlander's been decent, but for as much as they signed him for, not very special. Carrasco's had a bad year, and I mean their Kodai Senga's been solid, but he's got a insanely high whip. The dude seems to have no control over where it's going at all. So the Mets, is just I think is moreover just they need everyone to start just picking up the pace. They really need Scherzer and Verlander to be pitching like Cy Young Award winners because that's what they paid them to do. Um, and they could really use more production, I think, out of the offense as well because a lot of their offense is kind of lagging right now. Alvarez has been really good for them. Their big time catching prospect, Francisco Alvarez. He's hit a crud ton of homers. That's not really high average. Pete Alonso's kind of the same, high homers, not a very high average though. Lindor kind of similar, which is it's kind of a theme again with this team where everyone's got high homers but low average. So it's kind of like the Twins. I talked about them earlier. A lot of guys can hit homers, and a lot of guys, have big power, but they don't seem to really. They strike out a ton. Their average is really low. It's like homer or bust. So uh, Mets just need some hits. They need. I mean, it's nice to hit homers, but you also need to actually get on base too. I mean, homers are nice, but uh, when you have more guys on base, that homers can become even better. So, uh, moreover, it's just an improvement on both ends for the Mets, but definitely a major disappointment for this year. Then you got the Washington Nationals sitting at 36 and 54. I mean, it's to be expected. They're not a good team. There's not much to look forward to in DC. Not much more to really say. Maybe they can trade away Candelario or for something, which is kind of surprising because we used to have him and he did nothing for us. But then you go to the NL Central, which has probably the biggest surprise of the entire season, and that's the Cincinnati Reds, who were in the middle of just being themselves again. That's a not a below average team, not special. And then they called up Ellie De La Cruz and they went to being the top team in the division. I mean, it was just it was automatic. I mean, unbelievable transformation they've had. They brought up a lot of different other prospects as well with De La Cruz, and they've all produced very well. Their pitching staff is very young, and it has been very good. So I am very impressed by this run by the Reds. Will it last? Honestly, who the heck knows? But very impressive run here by Cincinnati. Of course, they also have Alexis Diaz as their closer, and he's absolutely dynamite. Of course, his brother Edwin Diaz, who plays for the Mets, is gone for the year. But the younger brother has done well in his own right. Just unbelievable season for Alexis Diaz. He's been so good for Cincinnati. Outstanding season for him. And like I said, their offense they've had a dramatic turnaround ever since calling up Ellie De La Cruz. Unbelievable how good they've been, and their run really still continues. I mean, they're not slowing down anytime soon, which is very impressive. And so I'm very curious if this run will continue for Cincinnati. So far, it has. This needs to stop falling off my head. Maybe that'll keep it on. Um, and then next we have the Milwaukee Brewers sitting at 49-42. One game behind the Cincinnati Reds. The Brewers have been sitting close to the top or at the top of this division pretty much all year. The pitching staff, obviously, there's no questions of how good that is. The only question is with the offense. Will the offense continue to produce enough? Christian Yelich has been very good for the Brewers. He's been kind of looking like the old Christian Yelich again, who was an MVP winner. So that's nice for the Brewers to have. But a situation kind of like Cleveland, there's just not much production around him. Nobody else has really been able to help them out necessarily. They're kind of lacking the production around him, and the Brewers offensively are kind of really suffering from it. Um, they had a good start, and they ended up winning 2 out of 3 against the said Reds at home before the All Star break. But with Christian Yelich, he's hitting 284, 11 homers, which isn't his MVP number. It was isn't like his MVP season, but 11 homers considering where he's been, pretty darn good. And then really nobody else. I mean, Willie Adames was good last year. His average is sitting at 213. Yeah, with 16 homers, but not what you would want. Jesse Winker has been awful for them. William Contreras, they got a catcher, and he's been decent, but that's really all they really have outside of Yelich. So it's not, like I said, it's a similar situation to to Cleveland, where they don't really have the hitting that they're looking for. And so until they really get that, they're going to continue to struggle. And then next we have the Chicago Cubs, sitting at 42 and the 47. I really hate this thing. It's still falling off. But the Cubs, really, this team has been they've also been all over the place. They've had really good stretches where they've been outstanding, and they've had really bad stretches where they just look awful. So don't really know what to think of the Cubs. Cody Bellinger was hurt for a little bit of the season, but he's come back and still looked pretty good. Their bullpen still remains a black hole on this team. The only team, oddly enough, with a positive run differential in this division. Nobody else has a positive run differential, which is weird. Um, but the Cubs I don't think, are a fantastic team. I mean, Bellinger's been good for them. Mancini I think they still have Mancini, but I think he's been okay. Dansby Swanson's been okay, So the Cubs are just not, I would say, amazing, but they are a decent team, and they are looking to make a possibly make a run here. Oh, Mancini's gone down a little bit. But they are looking to possibly make a run. We'll see if they can end up doing that. But overall, in my opinion, not all that special. Next is the Pittsburgh Pirates, sitting at 41 and 49. They got the luxury of having a number 1 pick last year, and they end up getting Paul Skeens, so that's always nice. But the Nationals got Cruz, and then the Rangers end up getting Langford, falling into their lap. Idiots, Tigers. But the Pittsburgh Pirates, really, for this team, they had a really hot start to the season. They were actually looking like they'd be a big surprise, like the Rays, but then they kind of came back down to earth, and they're still way better than probably most people expected. But 8.5 games behind the lead now. It's been a bit of a struggle bus for them. They had David Bednar still been really good, but overall, the team just not great. O'Neal Cruz is still out for them, So I don't really know what to say about the Pirates. There's not much that stands out. They still have Brian Reynolds, and he'll be around for a while. But really not much else that's impressive. And then last in this division is the St. Louis Cardinals, surprisingly, sitting at 38 and 52. Still a strugglesome year for them. They haven't been able to turn it around. And I think the biggest reason has been their lack of pitching. Because you look at the offensive numbers, and it's pretty, honestly, solid. I mean, 415 is not a bad number in terms of offense. But the problem is they can't stop anybody. They keep giving up runs left and right. I mean, you look they were. I mean, and this was talked about the start of the season for St. Louis. Everyone said that, or at least I thought, and I heard a couple people say, they lack pitching. They don't really have a lot of pitching arms. They didn't go and get anybody. They need some pitching, and they didn't go and get it. They still don't have it, and it's clearly giving them problems. I mean, I don't know what they're going to do at the deadline, but if they want to still compete, man, they got to get some starters in there. I'm not sure they're really going to try and do that. I don't know if they'll do anything this deadline, but the Cardinals, just they lack the pitching. If they had some pitching, they'd be probably top. It'd probably be close to the top of this division, but they have no pitching staff. There's nobody there that really has any good numbers. I mean, their ace this year was supposed to be Miles Michaelis, and I think he's got like a 5 ERA or something. So, I mean, that just kind of goes to show to you, it's not been what the Cardinals were hoping for. Oh, okay, Michaelis is at 423. Well, not as bad as I thought it was. Flaherty's up to 427, and that's probably their top two pitchers. Steven Matz is sitting at 465. So, I mean, that's probably their top three pitchers. And they're there's Jordan Montgomery, too, and he's sitting at 323. So that's actually decent. But, all three of those other guys with higher than 4 ERAs. That's not what you're hoping for, not what you're looking for. So Cardinals, that pitching staff needs to pick up the pace. They have the offense is fine. They got Nolan Arenado. They got prospects. They got Paul Goldschmidt. They got even Wilson Contreras. He's been up and down, but he's a good catcher. They have the offense. The problem is just that pitching staff has been weighing them down all year. And then we'll close out here with the NL West, and we start with the top two teams in division currently tied for first place going into the All-Star break, the LA Dodgers and the Arizona Diamondbacks. Let's start with the LA Dodgers since they're the top team. At 51 and 38, Dodgers tied for first. They are 7-3 in their last 10, won 4 straight. They're a veteran team. They're a bit older. Like I said in I think the previous video, I don't think they're as good as last year, but that doesn't take away from how good they actually are. This is still a good team. This is still a dangerous team, and that should not stray anybody away from the LA Dodgers and possibly winning it all. I mean, this is still a fine team. I will say probably the position that has taken the biggest hit for the Dodgers is the pitching staff, with Clayton Kershaw really being the only pitcher left. Julio Urias, as far as I know, hasn't had a great season, but I'm pretty sure Kershaw is also on the IL. And they've tried to bring up other prospects, and it really hasn't necessarily panned out. And they really need those guys to pan out. But yeah, Julio Urias sitting at a 4.76 ERA, which is not special. But they brought up different prospects like Bobby Miller. He's sitting at 4.50, but he is 5-1, so I'm thinking he probably had like a really bad start lately or something. No, he's just had some bad starts in general. But you got also Tony Gonsolin, who had a really good year last year, and he's sitting at 386, which is okay. You're another prospect sitting at 435. Their pitching health has not really been there, but their hitting's good. You got Will Smith, Freddie Freeman, Max Muncy's been unspecial this year. Mookie Betts, JD Martinez, all very solid hitters overall. The Dodgers have a solid team. They have some good players. They just need some pitching, and they need some health also out of the pitching. Then you have the bright and young Arizona Diamondbacks at 52-39. This was a really big surprise. Arizona has been bad for a long time, and here they come this year with probably what will be the Rookie of the Year in the NL. Who knows who will be the Rookie of the Year in the AL? Well, probably Josh Jung, but Corbin Carroll, looking to be the Rookie of the Year, the National League with Arizona. Unbelievable season that he has been having for Arizona. They also got Lourdes Gurriel playing for him, and he's been pretty good. Power to trade with the Blue Jays that gave Toronto Dalton Varsho, and also gave the Arizona Diamondbacks a really good catcher in Gabriel Moreno. I don't think he's actually starting now. I think it's Carson Kelly who's starting now, or maybe it is still Moreno. But they also got Geraldo Perdomo, who's been really good for them this year. He got into the All Star game. Ketel Marte is still pretty darn good. Christian Walker has had a pretty good season as well. This team has a overall solid team. Um, Once again, what I think this team needs is a pitcher. And really, I think that's the only thing that this team really lacks. Maybe another bullpen arm would help, but the biggest thing for this team, I think almost definitely for sure, is pitching. Because they have Zach Gallen, and Zach Gallen's probably going to end up being a top contender for, the Cy Young. And they have Merrill Kelly, although I don't see him on here, so he might be on the IL. But, they have those two pitchers, and the rest of the pitching staff for Arizona is a little lacking. So I think if you're Arizona, you go and get yourself a third starter. And when you get to the playoffs and you have a good three-man rotation of Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly, and then whatever third pitcher you get via trade, and that's really all you really need in the playoffs. Three starters is more than enough. So I think if Arizona can go and get themselves a good pitcher during maybe like an Eduardo Rodriguez, who's had a really good season, it would make sense. Arizona gets Eduardo Rodriguez from the Tigers, and they get themselves a trio of Gallen, Kelly, and Rodriguez. Yeah, I would like Arizona's chances with that. I mean, personally, I don't think Rodriguez is very good, but geez, he's been having a fantastic year. So I mean, hey, if he keeps it up, why not go for him? So Arizona, I really like this team. They're very young, and they've been they're pretty darn talented. So I am all for the Diamondbacks. Because personally, I can't stand the Dodgers. Also, it's also Serbinsky's team, so why not? And then next we have the San Francisco Giants at 49-41. Also a bit of a surprise this year as they find themselves directly in the middle of the wild card race. San Fran is kind of like the year when they went bananas and had that 100 and like what 7 win season or something, and then the Dodgers had like 106. Kind of like that season. The Giants are really kind of old and don't really have anyone to me that stands out in terms of hitting. I don't really think they have a specific hitter that you would look at and be like, oh yeah, that guy's good. I don't really see that in their hitting. Lamont Wade Jr. has been solid this year as a leadoff man, but really other than that, I mean, yeah, Mike Yastrzemski's been okay. Michael Conforto's been okay. J.D. Davis has been pretty good. Brandon Crawford's been not special. But I think the biggest thing comes in the pitching, where they have Logan Webb leading the way with a fantastic season. Uh, Very good year for him thus far, and then their dynamite closer in Camilo Doval. What a season he's been having. Both the Rogers are doing. And then both the Rogers are doing pretty good. Taylor and Tyler Rogers have both been, especially Tyler Rogers, but Taylor Rogers even has been pretty decent as well. And you got Alex Cobb, who's had a really good season too. So their pitching staff has been very good. Um, and the offense has been decent. So if I'm San Fran, if you're looking at the deadline, because of course I think the deadline's like early April or somewhere around there. If I'm looking to add guys, I would maybe add a hitter, get a hitter, and I don't know if there's a catcher available, but go ahead and get a catcher or something. I don't know. Maybe the Royals will trade. Oh, no, they won't trade away Sally Perez. He's been there too long. But San Fran, bit of a surprise. Don't think they expected to be here, but here they are. So far, so good for San Francisco. And then here's the other major league disappointment this year: the San Diego Padres. At 43 and 47, this team has really. This is not a result of the pitching, because their pitching has been really good. Their pitching has been outstanding in San Diego, and it has been 101. I mean, their pitching staff has been absolutely fantastic, and it has been really shocking how good it's been. I mean, Blake Snell has had a phenomenal season. Joe Musgrove has been pretty good this year. Yu Darvish, honestly, Yu Darvish has not been good. But their pitching staff has been very, very good this year. As you can look at the runs against number, very, very good, one of the top in the league. Obviously, Josh Hader has been nasty as a closer. I mean, he is a nasty closer, so that obviously makes sense. Just the bullpen's good. The starting pitching's been really good. Problem has been the offense just has not panned out at all. The catcher position's been kind of a black hole all year long. Xander Bogaerts had a very hot start to the year and has dramatically cooled off since. Jay Cronenworth has not been good. Manny Machado was brutal to start the year, but he's finally picked up the pace. He's been a lot better. Juan Soto has been better since his slow start to the year. Tatis had a slow start, but he picked it up. So the thing for the Padres, it is nice that everybody is finally starting to go on the up rather than the down. On the up rather than the down, but it's still a massive struggle in San Diego, and it's continuing to look worse for them. Uh, so we'll see if they can turn the page. They're definitely trying to do so. But it'll be tough in the NL West with the Dodgers, now apparently Diamondbacks, and the Giants all playing very stinking well, and of course them being not just six behind the Giants, but 8.5 behind Arizona and LA. So a lot of ground to be made up for San Diego, and then staying in last is the Colorado Rockies at 34 and 57. Not a good team. Chris Bryant was hurt again for like a good portion of the year. God, what else do they even have? I mean, there's not much to say about Colorado. They're not as bad as Oakland, but it's kind of similar to Oakland. There's not much to say. I mean, they're not good. They have a gimmicky field. That's about the most notable thing about them. Pitchers go there or die. Sure. Uh, so that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. As I said, we'll have some football stuff out hopefully soon, maybe tomorrow, maybe in a couple days. I'll have to see when I can come out with some more. Um, of which I will say, I know the last video got a lot of comments about, uh, basically got comments about we don't know anything. Look, we're fans. If you don't like our opinion, you don't have to watch. I mean, honestly, this is not, we're not NFL analysts. I'm not an MLB analyst. I'm not an NFL analyst or NBA or anything like that. I'm just a fan, and I do this because I like it, not because I think I'm actually good at it. I like doing it, and if you like it, great. If you don't, well, I don't really care. I'm not trying to make money off of this. So, you know, you don't have to watch my video. You don't have to watch the videos if you think my opinion's crap. Moral of the story, you know. Uh, think what you will. If you don't like it, you don't like it. If you do, you do. Like I said, totally up to you whether you want to watch or not. Anyways, that's it for me, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios, everybody.